As president and CEO of the Prebys Foundation, he has helped build an institution that invests in the arts and culture, medical research, youth success, and the health and well being of every San Diegan across the county. He's a poet, a podcast host, and a proud grandpa, and someone who genuinely believes that creativity and civic life belong together. Please give a warm welcome to the president and CEO of the Prebys Foundation and my new friend, Grant Oliphant.
Somebody asked me outside what I was most excited about today, and it is the combination of you all and the energy that I saw out in the courtyard and the speakers that we're going to hear from today and tomorrow. It is an extraordinary moment of thinking about what it is to be alive at this moment in history, and I can't imagine doing it with a better group of people, so thank you for being here. I do want to thank Sashir for her warm and incredibly generous opening, and it felt good to be welcomed by her and her thoughtful introduction, and of course by Somos La Voz, which is extraordinary. They're so extraordinary that a year ago they made me dance, and I did. I know. All right, so I hope what you're feeling is a level of curiosity and excitement about the speakers that we're going to be hearing from. That is intentional. It is part of the design of Waves. And I want to add my voice to Sashir's in welcoming you to the second Waves Festival. I hesitate to call it annual because we don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. But the second Waves Festival, welcome to it. Last year felt a little bit like an experiment, an invitation to see what might happen if we brought together people from very different disciplines and perspectives to think together in new ways. Walking away from Waves 2025, we heard stories of individuals and groups who collaborated after meeting here. This year feels like a different extension of that. The conversations have deepened, the connections have grown. Frankly, the urgency of the moment has grown too. Being here at the Old Globe in the heart of Balboa Park feels especially relevant in San Diego right now. This is a place built for storytelling, reflection, and dialogue, for the complicated work of being human together. And in times like these, spaces like this and connections among people like you matter more than ever. Because gathering together to listen and wrestle with difficult questions and imagine new possibilities together is one of the oldest ways that human beings make meaning and find renewed purpose and move forward. And that really is the spirit of the Waves Festival. Waves stands as a reminder for well-being, art, vision, entrepreneurship, and science. Those are the 5 letters that comprise the word. But the point is not to separate those conversations, as we so often do. It's to connect them. Because the challenges we face in San Diego and in our country and in our world right now do not arrive neatly categorized into those distinctions. And the responses that we wield cannot be isolated either. That's why Waves is not really a conference. We don't even really view it that way. We view it as a convening. It is intentionally designed to create space for honest, expansive conversation across disciplines and across difference. And I hope you will engage in that over the next 2 days. Our goal is not consensus, and it is definitely not certainty. Our hope is that all of us leave here thinking more expansively about our work, our communities, and the future that we are creating together. This year's theme, as you have already heard exhaustively and will repeat it, is meeting the moment. It is not a slogan. The reason we're repeating it is because it is a challenge. We are living through a period of profound disruption and uncertainty. democratic strain, cultural fragmentation, technological change moving faster than our collective ability to absorb it, declining trust in institutions, and increasingly in one another, and that's just to name a few of the challenges. So the question isn't whether we feel these pressures, the question is, how do we recognize that we all do? And how do we respond, individually and collectively? What does it mean to meet a moment where all of your assumptions are out the window with clarity and imagination and courage and collective will? Because a moment like this asks something of us, and none of us meets a moment like this alone. Meeting is relational. It requires people who are willing to gather and listen and challenge one another and accept that challenge thoughtfully and to engage with each other thoughtfully. And that is what this festival is meant to create. At Prebys, we believe that this approach should shape everything we do in community. We believe arts and culture, health, well-being, scientific research, entrepreneurism, youth success, civic life, none of these are separate conversations. They are interconnected expressions of what makes community flourish. And nowhere is that more visible than here in this extraordinary community in San Diego. This region sits at the intersection of innovation and creativity, of scientific excellence and cultural richness, of the US, Mexico, and tribal lands. Few places are better positioned in America or the world to wrestle with the kinds of questions we'll explore together over these next 2 days. Whether we are supporting environmental recovery in the Tijuana River Valley, investing in nonprofit leadership, expanding civic engagement and belonging through arts and culture, or supporting the next generation of medical researchers, the underlying question across all of it is ultimately the same. How do we help build a San Diego, and by doing it here, a country and a world where people and communities can truly flourish? Flourishing means more than we are traditionally told it means in terms of economic growth. It means belonging. It means connection. It means creativity and health and opportunity shared by an entire community. It means a sense that people matter to one another and that we have individual and collective purpose. Waves is one expression of that. And the work is already happening all around us. I want to thank Somos La Voz and our partners at Via International for the extraordinary performance this morning. I want to thank them more deeply for the extraordinary work that they do with youth in trying to connect youth with their own sense of identity, belonging, and purpose through the expression of the arts. What an extraordinary gift. And at this moment in our city, let me just say, the arts have tremendous value. I want to thank all of you in this room who are our partners in various aspects of our work. And I want to thank the artists, the scientists, the educators, the entrepreneurs, the advocates, the civic leaders, the philanthropists, the community builders. Thank you for the work you're doing individually and for the work you're doing collectively and with us. Many of you are already meeting this moment every single day through your work. You are sustaining institutions, supporting communities, advancing discovery, and creating spaces for dignity, healing, and possibility, which is why we are here together. This is an intentionally curated gathering because the conversations that change communities rarely happen at a distance. We wanted you to come together. They happen between people willing to bring different forms of expertise, different lived experiences, and genuine openness into the same room. So over the next 2 days, don't think of yourselves as an audience, please. Think of yourselves as participants in a shared civic project. And as you move through this festival, I hope you'll keep asking yourselves 2 questions. How does this help me meet this moment? Not someday, but right now, in my work and in my life and in my community. And second, how does it help us build something more resilient, more humane, and more worthy of the people who are not in this room, who depend on us? Because meeting the moment is not a single act of heroism, and I believe that profoundly. It is a sustained collective commitment to showing up with curiosity and with courage and with imagination and with deep and abundant care for one another, which is why we created this convening. And over time, others have joined us. 2 years over time, it's kind of an exaggerated statement. But others have joined us, and I want to thank our sponsor partners, including JP Morgan Chase, Southwest Airlines, and the California Wellness Foundation. I was joking this morning. Yes, thank you. After 2 years, we've already got an official airline. That ain't bad. So our shared project continues to grow. I want to say welcome again. I want to thank you for being here. From the bottom of my heart, what matters is going to be what you do with what you hear here today and who you meet here today and tomorrow and what you carried out into the community. And I look forward to talking more about that over the next couple of days. So now it is my privilege to introduce someone who understands deeply the role that arts and storytelling play in civic life. Barry Edelstein has devoted his career to the belief that theater is not passive entertainment, but a form of civic engagement, a way of helping us pay attention, wrestle with complexity, and see one another more clearly. He also spoke with me yesterday at a rally for the arts in our city. I consider him to be the modern bard of the Old Globe Theater and a civic asset. Please join me in welcoming the artistic director of the Old Globe, Barry Edelstein. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Nice to see you all. Great to have you in the Old Globe. Hey, I wanted to let you know that I'm standing here on the Donald and Darlene Shiley stage of the Old Globe Theater, which sits in the Conrad Prebys Theater Center. Yay, Conrad Prebys. And I thought since we're all going to be in this room all day, I should tell you a little bit about it. Now, we all know that Balboa Park started in 1915 with the California Pacific Exposition. The leaders of San Diego 20 years later in 1935, in the middle of the Great Depression, thought, wow, this city is struggling. We need to do something to juice it up a little bit. Why don't we do a 20th anniversary expo, which they did in 35. Now, a couple of years earlier in Chicago, there had been a World's Fair, and the biggest attraction in that World's Fair was a replica of Shakespeare's Globe, which was very successful. So the people of San Diego called up the dude in Chicago, or I don't know, sent him a telegram, and said, why don't you bring your Shakespeare theater here to San Diego? And in 1935, it was built on this very spot. And they did hour-long productions of Shakespeare plays, admission charge, 25 cents. And it was a huge big deal, so after the expo ended, the theater continued. And we are now in our 91st year. Now that original Globe burned down, sadly, in an arson fire in the late 70s, and this building was built, and it's a pretty famous place. On the stage where I'm standing, Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods premiered. 27 shows started here that went on to Broadway. Steve Martin wrote a musical that went from here to Broadway. Cameron Crowe, Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote music on this stage. A couple of August Wilson plays made their world premieres on this stage. They were performed by the greatest actors in the country, movie stars, television stars, stage stars, working actors, every bit as talented but maybe less famous, the stalwarts of San Diego. And in those 9 decades, millions of people have sat in these seats watching those plays, listening to those words. And here's what I want to talk about this morning. Those words, those ideas, they leave traces behind. And if you listen carefully, you can still hear them in the walls, in the air, in this room. Theaters are full of ghosts. Now, the theme is meeting the moment. How do we do it? We listen to the ghosts. The moment we're in is a tough one. Our city is still traumatized by an act of violence 2 weeks ago, 2 teenagers radicalized by hate, spewing hatred in every human direction, one of whom lived in a house where for some reason there were 30 guns lying around. How do we meet a moment like that? Our elected leaders have decided that the arts and culture in our city are not worthy of public investment. And we're fighting tooth and nail to turn that around, trying to meet that moment. Internationally, there's chaos. Just up the road, there's a chemical tank about to explode and take out a neighborhood. In Washington, there's so much craziness that we've become inured to it. We can't find $11.8 million for the arts in San Diego, but in Washington, they can find $1.776 billion to pay off the thugs that invaded the Capitol. How do we meet a moment like that? The answer is we listen for the ghosts. When all this overwhelms me, I come in here. Not when a play is playing, although I do that a lot too. I come in here when the room is empty, dark, and I close my eyes and I listen. I listen for the ghosts. Whenever I travel around the world, whatever city I go to, I try to visit the famous theater and see if I can finagle a way to sit in there while it's empty. When I was a graduate student, I went to see a Shakespeare play at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford, and I went back to the theater at like 1 in the morning and started pulling on every door to see if I could get in. I'm amazed I wasn't arrested, but one of the doors was open, and so I snuck in to the Royal Shakespeare Theater, and I sat in there empty, and I listened to the ghosts. And here is what they told me. What's past is prologue. What to come in yours and my discharge. That's Shakespeare. What is past is just the introduction. What's to come is up to us. That's the message that the theater ghosts tell us. They tell us 2 things. One, we're not alone. There have been people before us struggling with the things that we're struggling with, and we can rely on them. They will hold us up. They will catch us if we fall as we try to meet the moment, and it is up to us to figure out what to do with it. They also tell us that nothing is new. The theater ghosts of ancient Greece told us about spasms of violence in cities. The theater ghosts of Shakespeare tell us about leaders that have lost their way, that are venal, corrupt, that are mad. What's past is prologue. What to come in yours and my discharge. Say it with me. What's past is prologue. What to come in yours and my discharge. And by the way, it's not just theater where we hear this. I was at the San Diego Symphony 2 weeks ago. I heard the genius Maestro Paiare conduct Strauss. From the moment of the downbeat, a ghost from 150 years ago sang to me about the lessons of the greatest achievements of humanity and pointed the way forward. I go to the museum next door, and my favorite painting in there is of a woman staring at an old globe. And I stand in front of it, and I listen to the ghosts tell me about her experience and how it can lead me forward. In dance, in poetry, the ghosts tell us that the human experience is a continuum. There's been thousands of years before us. There will be thousands of years ahead of us, and we are in a moment where we must decide what to do. Here's more Shakespeare. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. It is high tide, and at high tide is when you set sail. We are a city on the ocean. We know about high tide. Say those last couple of lines with me. We must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. That's what the ghosts of theater are telling us. There is a human continuum, a human experience that has carried us to this moment. What are we going to make of it? Can we imagine a better future, a brighter future, a cleaner future, a more just future, a more inclusive future, a safer future, a more promising, beautiful, glorious, and shining future? And can we set sail at high tide to create it? So as you sit in here today, at a quiet moment, listen. Listen for the ghosts of the old globe. And what you might hear is Hamlet telling you this: the readiness is all. Say it with me. The readiness is all. The what is all? The readiness is what? All. The readiness is all. One more time, really mean it. The readiness is all. We meet the moment by listening to Hamlet and being ready. The readiness is all. Are you ready? Yes. Good, because so am I. Thank you.